different books that I got. They about to put out. It's in the Millennial books. Oh yeah, go ahead. My bad for cutting in. Yeah.
No, you're supposed to. You good. You good. But while you digging that up, so while we looking at the sacred records as they being told, Bob, there you go. Let's have the record straight. Oh,
this right here, the one.
Yep. Now, if you look at the cover of it, zoom in on the bottom.
Hold on, let me.
People know what I'm talking about. I'll be telling you something that be 100.
Let me blow it up for you. Oh yeah. Hit that like button. Oh yeah, we blowing it up for you.
You see on the bottom where it's saying excerpt from the Nubian Sacred Record of Moors?
Yeah, right here.
Right. Now, you can read pages of that book online right where you was at in the photograph section.
Let me go back. Let's see.
This goes into the difference between Moor and Moor, Amaru and Moray. You see this? This is important. I'm gonna show you why in a minute.
It should be coming up, huh?
That first picture you had was straight out the book with Pops with his headdress on.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, right there. That one. That's straight out the book.
Yeah.
Right. See, you talking about the Lewis and Clark expedition, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Why is he talking about that? What that got to do with anything?
Because that's what they jacked us as Washington Native American Indians for the Louisiana Purchase. And you know what? That's what I want to ask you, man, because I've been thinking on that all day. I was thinking about what type of mindset these people had, that these people, like we was here on the land, and then they riding around fucking excavating the land for these niggas, the jackers, and we didn't never, it's like we almost never seen it coming. Why didn't we see this coming? Why didn't we see it coming?
Look, it ain't that we didn't see it coming.
Okay.
We had sent so many resources to the Seminole Wars, the Gullah Wars, over hundreds of years. Our population was diminishing.
Uh-huh.
We was fighting like a motherfucker. Don't let them people fool you into thinking we didn't put up no resistance.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And they just walked over here and found some savages.
Uh-huh.
Right? You got to go back to the Gullah Wars is when we tell about it. The Seminole Wars is when they tell about it.
Uh-huh.
Right? So this is the difference. So when we look up Continental Congress, it just gives you some little brushed over early American colonialism shit. But it don't really tell you that the Continental Congress was the Iroquois Confederation. And that's why they always talking about the Confederate flag. The Confederated States was the states that was tied together by the Iroquois Constitution, which was the oral constitution. It's the law of the land over here. They need to get us from under the law of the land and get us an admiralty and maritime law. How do you do that? Salvage rights. Because then now they get to have jurisdiction to enforce the admiralty law to anybody who contracts to do business with the corporation.
Uh-huh.
How do you contract to do business with the corporation?
You gotta become artificial.
You gotta be a straw man first. You gotta assume a straw man capacity.
Uh-huh.
What happens when you assume a straw man capacity?
You don't exist no more, pretty much.
You are 3/5 compromised.
Go ahead.
Right? Yeah. Dred Scott, remember?
Yeah, Dred Scott.
Okay, now, these people is pushing this agenda. Where is their headquarters?
That's a good question. Hey, okay, let me just add this part. I traced them back. I said, man, when you said they was in West Africa, I traced them to France. They was in France for a while, man. I believe they could be still in France, but I think they wanted to sit. They came over here too, and they where you said it, upstate New York and then Jersey. It's like they got like a little camps everywhere. They got a camp on Jekyll Island. These
Yeah.
but
Why you think they did the creature from Jekyll Island there?
Exactly.
They got banks in St. Lucius.
Okay.
They got adrenochrome harvesting and they control prostitution on the island of St. Lucius and St. Croix.
What?
Right? Now, they had Maurice Bishop murdered. This is the European telling us that the people behind it is not them. This is what they look like.
Wow.
This is called a Moorish festival. They telling on them in satire. That's what it's called. They have to repeat this annually until one of us figure out why they doing
it. Damn. Hey, so the Three Kings shit, like I think it connect back with Nomos, but what's your take on them having them Three Kings? That's significant, man.
The Three Kings is a conjure ceremony.
Okay.
In order for them to activate one of the gods, it got to be three high chiefs.
Uh-huh.
And once the three high chiefs can't solve the problem, now they have to call for what you call a higher ranking individual to come and deal with the matter. Right? So they got a call from their ranks though. So this is why Larry Hoover kept emphasizing the brain banging thing. Baba kept emphasizing sound right reasoning, right knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Right? The Nation of Islam kept promoting the do for self doctrine that ties back to Garvey and Noble Drew Ali.
Uh-huh.
Right? The spin-offs is the Sunni Islam under was it Siraj Wahaj?
Uh-huh. So,
right?
Yeah, so like him and what's that other guy? Bilal Phillips.
Bilal Phillips.
Yeah.
Right. So they became Sunnis, right?
Uh-huh.
They never once spoke out against the selling of the little girls or the trading of the little girls at 8 and 9 years old when they hitting puberty early because of the McDonald's milk.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right. So they don't speak on none of that. They don't speak on the continuous trafficking of the Sudanese, the Ethiopian, and the Southern Egyptians who being captive by Arabs, just putting them in servitude in the name of Islam.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But they had talk out about some black nationalism until they got their position as imam. And then what happened?
Right.
They became stuck to the right, overly self-righteous. They couldn't no longer be functional to the people on the land. They got absorbed by the dogma, Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma.
Yeah.
The morals was overrode by dogma. The dogma was the religious doctrine that got you bopping your head on the ground 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How in the fuck you gonna live your life bopping your head on the ground 5 times a day?
Right.
They say because you got to live your life for who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, why this motherfucker won't come beat his head on the ground for 5 times a day?
Right.
Why he want me to beat my head?
Right.
Right? So if he the one that's to give her a life as you allege, that's what they say, right? If he's the one that's to give her a life, then he don't need me bopping my head. He need me living my life.
Uh-huh.
Hey, you wanted to ask me about?
Yeah. Hey, well, I got you in the zone because I see you got your third eye. It's wide open. It's gleaming in it right there.
Yeah, that's my brother, Big Beach.
Yeah. Hey, you see how he's standing though? Like every time I notice, Big.
That's Gorilla Pose. That's Gorilla Squad right there.
Okay.
That's Gorilla Squad. He coming in. He a 50 boy. A 50 boy mean he's straight under Tahuti.
Yeah.
He a soldier to the end.
Yeah.
His job was to teach these young dudes how to live with wealth because we about to get this shit back.
Okay.
He was being too effective at his job and they wanted to remove him before he taught them how to handle the money successfully without having to be falling out with your brother because of some money.
Yeah.
That's his job. He's the he's the one exposed the prince to wealth and then explain to him why the wealth doesn't mean more to your people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's each one teach one, right?
Huh?
Now you see all the guys around him, that's all love, that's all respect. Right? They let you know who they love, who they respect.
Man, I got another one. I got a couple for you, man. This right here that people like. They want to hear what your take on that, because I got your now Jeff Ford, because a lot of people talk. I did a tape on this shit, and because people was talking, man, Rob Hayes is crazy. He talking about this and that. He talking about gangbangers and drug dealers, and that's the media portrayed these people as this, but they don't really know this Jeff Ford. These people don't know that these people were actually they weren't no damn criminals.
So I'm glad you brought up Chief Malik Angel Bay is the holy name.
Yeah, right.
Right. And he is blood right heir to the land out of Big Mama's daughter's house, Big Red house. They murdered his right-hand man, who was Big Bull. It's the same thing they did to Larry right-hand man, which was King David.
Okay.
Right. Then Mickey Caldwell wanted to make some moves that Jeff wouldn't sanction and cause a family internal conflict.
Okay.
Right. But that's family business, and it ain't for me to dwell into the depths of that. They got to deal with that between them. Angel Bay know what he was doing. He know what he's doing. So for the people that don't know, the reason that he's called Chief Malik Angel Bay is he is the Grand Sharif or High Mufti on the land. Right? Okay. And he is the one who's the enforcer of the law. So when we talk about the Pentagon military industrial complex, they got to hand it over to him.
Okay.
And he got a whole bunch of motherfuckers smarter than Colin Powell backing him up as the advisors. Battery getting low. But he got some brilliant people with him.
And we can come back tomorrow. Like I say, like anytime you want to come on, hey, I'm up. This is what I do. So hey.
Oh, we good. So look,
I'll go there. We can come back tomorrow. Part 2, part 3, part 4, whatever. You know. Yeah.
So Angel Bay was usurped.
Yeah.
By the government. Right.
Yeah.
Everything they was doing, I'm telling you, they was accusing Angel Bay, Larry Hoover under the COINTELPRO operation. They was hunting down the chiefs on the land.
Okay.
Right? They got the orders from Europe to hunt down the chiefs, the princes, and the people of the land. We went over that.
We read their receipts, right? Yeah.
Right. So that's what now, when we talk about the people behind it, where did they go? Right?
Yeah.
Pull up map of 13 banking districts. This is how they was going to divide the country up among the 13 families.
Somebody in the audience say Rod Haynes.
Basically, this is going to be like from the beginning of creation to now, what happened to make black people go from ruling everything on the planet to being ruled everywhere on the planet. And as I get started here, I'm going to talk about all around the world, wherever you find us at. Like, go to India. India, they have a group of people there known as the Untouchables. They are the Aksumi, or the dark-skinned, woolly-haired people of Europe, and they often call them the Untouchables. And these Untouchables of India came from Africa a couple thousand years ago and settled the area. And so they end up being placed in a different role. So now, if you use your biblical reference, the biblical reference says that the last shall be first and the first shall be last. It's talking about the stone that the builder rejected being the chief cornerstone. So we got to go back to a time when Earth was pretty much a peachy place to be. And from that, it ended up to where war and pain and suffering seemed to be the rule of the day. So we went from being a peaceful planet where we came and developed a high spiritual culture, fashion, design, dance, art, and all of the different sciences. Now, coming from what looks like a dark age, stone age, so to speak, like a prehistoric period where, do a couple more invites and then I'm gonna go ahead and get heavy off into this subject matter. A couple more here. Okay. All right, so I'm done doing invites. So, so black people here in America are under the false illusion that they were slaves, first and foremost. So remember that history is written by the ones they call the victor. So the winner write the story. So what story would the winner give you that would prevent you from resisting his tyranny and his reign? He'll give you a view of history that would make you least resistant. He'll give you a view of history that make you least amount of resistant to him ruling over you. And there's no secret in America that the caste system has been turned into a skin-based caste system. This is where the doctrine of white supremacy was adopted from by Alexander. Now, you have to be able to take yourself out of history as a victim of it in order to see the timeline. So we go back to the beginning. The beginning is this. When they talk about Homo erectus, Homo sapien, Australopithecines, Australobustus, Gigantopithecus, all of these different ancient skeletal remains they finding were black people. All the way back to Lucy to about a little less than 10,000 years ago. Europe was sparsely inhabited by pockets of people before this. Okay. So what happened that brings us to this point is the scientists of an earlier period decided that they wanted to capture these forces that governed over as nature spirits. And in order to capture them, they built what we see in CERN as a hadron collider, a particle accelerator. And this is the fall, but the fall was not from a transgression. The fall was from science going wrong, or how it intended. Now, so in order to be able to see what's going on, we got to go to the Egyptian sciences. All right. Egypt is the origin, or the record keeper. The Egyptian sciences tell us that everything that exists came forth from something called the Nun. N-U-N, the Nun. It's pronounced just like noontime. And it's a reason for that. What we call, in modern science, dark matter. And dark matter is the most potent form of energy discovered to date. But it's the most hard and difficult to harvest. So this is what they was originally building the particle accelerator for back then, which is the exact same justification for this particle accelerator. Now, at this time, the people were not like they are now. The physiology was different. They had a more, like a longer body, longer torso, more protruding abdomen because they breathe heavily from their lower abdomen. When they tell you to breathe from here, breathe, and in singing, they teach you how to breathe from the diaphragm, which gives you that bold look in your belly. So these people had what we tend to call a beer belly in appearance, but they were slim in description. They were very skinny people with longer limbs. So you see some humans that have arms that's way long for their body. Those are throwback from this period. Anyway, so the goal was to take these, what they call whole light beings. The whole light beings were what you call nature spirits, and they maintain the balance throughout nature because they were all like expressions of Ma'at. Ma'at being perfect balance. Ma'at being also represented by an Egyptian deity by the name of Ma'at, who actually earned the title of Ma'at as a just judge. So when you see them use Ma'at and they represent it by that particular female called Ma'at, she earned that title because she was the most just judge of the period. So she earned the title of Ma'at, and she earned the title of being just in her judgment. And so we know her in modern times, they call her Karma. They call her Karma and Akasha because she keep the records for judgment. So it works like this. The wisdom precedes the justice. The wisdom collects the information that the judgment will be rendered by. So you got to be wise enough to know the right and wrong aspect. So when you see your biblical story of Adam and Eve not knowing right and wrong, so they talk